Hi guys, it's Coach Keisha speaking, giving you love, hugs, and realness. And we're going to continue the discussion regarding anxiety in our youth. Because I made a video on my TikTok page, it's at Coach Keisha Speaks. And we talked a little bit about, children having anxiety regarding back to school night, what the upcoming school year is, not making them feel weird if they're a little behind in their studies, based on everyone being home for the past year or more. And so let's continue the discussion. So if you like this video, please subscribe below and hit the like button. So the reason why I made the video to begin with is because when we're dealing with our children, I'm a mother as well, they have a lot of anxiety. And I don't mean about, anxiety like, oh, I'm just upset. But you believe it or not, our kids pick up our anxiety that we've shown them to be coping mechanisms, and they do it themselves, whether that's overwork, keeping themselves busy, always doing something, starting things and not finishing them, needing to be a part of different clubs and groups, and just having that overactivity to stay busy, sometimes being quiet, sometimes just being overwhelmed. And we don't teach our kids sometimes how to really cope or how to really talk about what's really going on. Growing up, we were taught that, an idle mind is the devil's workshop, so to speak, or you always have to stay busy. And so what happens is there's so much overactivity going on within our youth because they picked it up from their parents. We've been overactive as well. We've been running up and down the road, back and forth to work. Some of us are working 2 or more jobs or have more roles than the average person should have just to make ends meet. And so what has happened with COVID is that a lot of things had to slow down because of social distancing. A lot of people who were going into the office were found to be able to do the same work at home. Which is great for many of us. And you've learned to prioritize what's important and what isn't important. And you began to see that slowing down isn't necessarily a bad thing. It helps you to put things in perspective. It helps you to practice mindfulness. It also helps you to finally reconnect with your family and friends, the things that really matter. A lot of times we've been so busy that we hadn't had the time. We were just so busy, so overworked, so disengaged from what was going on in the world that we didn't have the time to really focus. And so in this past year, without knowing we were anxious, we learned to not be anxious. We still had our, anxieties and woes regarding washing our hands and sanitizing and the things that keep us safe. But then we realized, wow, I can say for myself, I finally got a full night's worth of rest. I wasn't going to bed late because I got home from work late, and you're helping with homework and going back and forth and taking your kids to different activities. And then you have to cook dinner, and then you have to, tend to your personal life and then go to bed and then start the process earlier, and you're lacking sleep. I learned to connect with myself more. And so when I talk to a lot of other people, they've been in that same predicament as well. We've had more time with our children. A lot of times we're home, our kids were home. And so we got to do things like cook meals for our children rather than them having school lunch. We got to learn their curriculum because the curriculum, change every so often. And we began to connect. And so when we began to relax a little bit and get into a routine of being home and practicing mindfulness, our kids began to do it as well. Because again, as I said before on TikTok, our kids mirror our behavior. So whether or not we believe that we're acting one way or not one way, our kids mirror not what we say, they mirror what we do. And so if we find ourselves to be anxious, our kids will be anxious. And that's inside the classroom, outside the classroom, that's just in general. And so when we've had time to work on our anxiousness and to identify, the things that we were doing that were keeping us in overdrive and we've slowed down, we have to show that same clear across the boardness to our kids. in order for them to have peace. And then we have to also talk with them about their feelings, their emotions, how they're processing it, everything that's going on, and help them make sense. And it's okay to share with your children, based on the scope that they can handle, how you're taking everything and how you're processing. Does that make sense? It helps you to connect so that when your children grow older, they know how to prioritize their mental health. I'm so proud of the youth today because they understand mental clarity and mental awareness more than any other generation. But it's just good to talk about and to relate to our kids about how to get through these tough times. It'll go down in history as, where were you during COVID? How did you manage? How did you cope? How did you come out of it? You'd be surprised how much of a connection you can build with your children, just helping them process through their emotions and feeling like it's okay to discuss it, and you discussing your process as well. We're strengthening families. We're bringing people closer together. So if this video was helpful for you or made any sense to you, please, subscribe, like, reach out to me. My video and my page is Coach Keisha Speaks. And as always, we're giving love, hugs, and realness. So give yourself a big hug, guys. And again, the discussion will continue forward. You guys have a great day.